Today we're going to talk about the lookup functions in Excel. Before we start with the functions, it is important to understand the data first. So we have two different data sets, that is the product data and the population data. Product data consists of the product keys, SKUs, products, standard cost, the color of the model, the list price, the category and the subcategory as well. And second data set is a population data set where we are having the city codes, states, cities, population, and I've added the city code both in column A and E. Similarly, you have the data of population in a horizontal format as well. Let's start with the first lookup function, that is the Vlookup, or you can say vertical lookup. I have given the arguments here. Now, Vlookup or the vertical lookup is being used for the data stored in a vertical format, as that we are looking for you're searching for the value being stored in a vertical format, or you can say in a column. And second is the limitation of Vlookup is that you can search from like the value that you're looking for have to be in the leftmost column of the data that you have selected, or the range that you have selected. Now say for example, let's run the formula or the function. By the way, there's a difference between the function and the formula. So the VLOOKUP function, the time you type VLOOKUP, it will give you a definition, or the Microsoft will give you a small definition about it. Might be the recording doesn't show that pop-up. VLOOKUP function have four arguments: lookup value, table array, column index number, and the range lookup. Any argument in a square bracket is an optional value. If you skip that specific argument, the VLOOKUP will take by default as a kind of an approximate match instead of an exact match. Now the first argument says lookup value. For in this example, we have city, that is Kanpur. Table array, since city exists in column number C, we will take the selection from C till whatever value you have to the rightmost. Use the absolute reference on both row and column. Then we have the column index number as an argument. Column number or column index argument simply means that, so what do we mean by index? It's example in this range we selected cities, population, and city code. So in this instance, cities becomes index number 1, population becomes index number 2, and city code becomes index number 3. In case we have selected the data from city code to population, then city code will be the index number 1, state being 2, city being 3, and the population being the 4th. Since we have selected the data from cities to city code, and we want the population which is having an index number of 2, so we'll take 2. Last argument is approximate match or exact match. In case I leave it blank, it will take approximate match, but we want exact match, so we'll take it as false. Now you have got the population of Kanpur as 9. Let's drag it, and we got the population of all. Another important tip is that for any application that you work on, reconciliation or matching the values manually just to recheck whether the value that you got is correct or not is important. So Bhopal got the population of 13, so let's quickly check. Bhopal have the population of 13. Let's check one more. Kolkata got 4, so let's check Kolkata got 4. So population looks fine. Now second is a city code. I can again write VLOOKUP. Lookup value is Kanpur. Table array, again we're searching cities, will take the again leftmost column, so this is cities. Absolute reference. In this instance, I need the city code, so the index number would be 3, and I need an exact match. Now Kanpur got the city code of 9. Let's check in population. Kanpur here got C9. Let's check for one more. Let's say Delhi got C2. There we go. Now again, the limitation of VLOOKUP is I cannot search for city code sitting in column A by finding or searching with cities. If I say, okay, match city, I find the match, I find Mumbai in the city. What we did just right now is that we looked after for the column index as, okay, I need the city code, which is sitting at third column. But I cannot say, okay, now find Mumbai and do -1 2, like search for like this. So no, that is not possible. It can only work from leftmost to the right columns. It cannot go from left to the backward further and search for the value. It cannot do that. That's a limitation of VLOOKUP. Now, going to the next lookup function, which is Hlookup or horizontal lookup, wherein the value exists in a horizontal format. Again, the difference between the VLOOKUP and Hlookup is just the data, the way the data is being, placed. There's no other difference. The limitation exists with Hlookup as well. That is, the value that you're looking to find have to be in the topmost column. Oh, sorry, topmost row, not column. Now let's find the population. Again, using the function here is Hlookup. It will give you a small definition about the function as well. Lookup value C8. Let's look for the population. This is the topmost row where we're storing the city codes. Let's freeze it. We need the row index as we checked for the column index. Same goes with the row index as well. That is 1 2 3 4. We want the population which sits on the index of 4, and we need an exact match. If we kind of skip this last argument, it will give you an approximate match. Now we can see C8 being 9, C9 being C8 equals to the population of 8, and C9 equals to the population of 9. Let's quickly verify. C8 and C9 works fine. Let's move to the next lookup function, that is a match. It's a very simple function. It will give you the relative position of the value that you're looking forward to find. Like, for example, you're looking forward to find 210 within the given data set, and it matches to the given data set. Let's quickly check here. Lookup value is 210. We are using the product data set. You select the column in which you want to search or you want to find your value. Note that we are not selecting the whole data set, all the columns and all the rows. We are just selecting the column in which we are trying to find the value. We want the exact match. Now this one, now if you go into the product data, since we selected the data from A2, this 210 exists on the first position of the range. We are not saying the first from the product key. We are saying the relative position from the data set we selected, like this. Now if I go further, drag it, let's check this out. 214. So this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4 and 5. So the relative position of 214 is the fifth, and that is where you got this 5. Let's add some more. Let's quickly random check here. 227, 227, drag the formula, and it got 18. So if you go and count, it will somewhere exist on the 18th position from this data set. Starting with 210, this is the first one, and 227 is the 18th one. So that is a simple match function. In case you have this value which does not exist, you will get an error like this, which is NA. Moving to the next lookup function, that is index. Now index is more of a function which gives you an intersection of the data. Let's say example, go to the product data set. Let's say this row, and let's say column number G. This particular value is what the index will give you. Let me just give you something different. Yeah, sports 100. So the intersection of the row and the column, the value that you get after the intersection, is the index. Let's put some formula for that. For the same index, there are two options that usually appear, that is talking about starting with the array and second starting with the reference. We'll talk about both in some time. Starting with the array, product data, we'll select the full data set that we have, absolute reference, that asks me the row number. So for example, I need the row number 6th. For now I'm manually typing in. And the column number, let's say column number 7. Now before I hit enter, row number 6 in the given data set would be this 215, because this is 3, 4, 5, 6, and the column number 7, if you count, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you got sports 100. Let's check sports 100. Now this is something I've manually typed, which is not the best way of running a formula or a function. So let's try to automate a bit. Stating index, again the array is this. Now we just do the absolute reference. Now to find the row number, let's use a match. Now let's run a match function. You want to find, let's say again 215. The lookup value is this column, absolute reference. I want an exact match. Then I want to find the column number, let's say match. Now column number, since I've used this model, and I'll use this model heading itself along with the lookup value, which is this. I want to search within this row, absolute reference and exact match. Now before I hit enter, what is being done here is I've taken the whole range, which we have taken before as well. Then it says, okay, let me find the relative position of 215, which exists on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions. So I'll get this row number. Let's say match model, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. So it will give you the 7th position. So the intersection of 6 and 7 turns to sports 100. Let's hit enter. It's got sports 100. Let's break down the formula as well so that you can understand what I mean here with these match functions. So you got 6. Let's take the rest, another one, which will give us the column number. You got 7. So when we use this function now, using index, then says, okay, give me this product data, absolute reference, and now I can say that, okay, this is the row index and this is the column index, and here we go, sports 100. So that is how it is. And again, in the functions or the formulas that you use, manually writing is not that, when I say manually, typing 6 or 7 as a relative positions is again not relevant when you're talking about millions and millions of rows. Now let's take another further example, extension of index is the reference. That there are 4 arguments being given, that is reference, row number, column number and area number. Now let's start with another parenthesis. I'm opening a bracket here. It says, okay, let's divide the whole data set into 2 parts. That is, one being from product key to the standard cost. I'll probably take the list price, that is 1, absolute reference and bracket close, and second data set, again comma, then bracket open, and I'm taking the second data set being model to category, bracket close, again bracket close, and then the next comma. Now this is something that we say, look, let's take row number as 4, column number 2 and area number 1. Okay, hold on, for a second. Okay, I'll just one second. So basically I don't need these parentheses from both sides. I can simply separate it by comma. Hold on. Okay, yeah, don't need this parentheses. Just one sec. Yeah, there we go. So let me explain this. So what is happening is that there are two arguments in this index function. One is talking about the array with it. You take one whole range and then take the row number and the column number, and whatever intersection value that comes in is the value of this function, of index function. Second argument says, or the second option within that is to divide the whole data set into multiple different pieces or different buckets, and then run this intersection of a row in the column. Repeating again here is, when you say index, I'll take two different data sets within production or product data, one being product key till, I'll say, list price, or let's take this time till standard cost. Take whole data set, freeze it, then separate it by the comma. The second data set, I'll take it from E, which is this column, and take it down till and freeze. Now parenthesis closed. Now we have divided this whole data set into two buckets, from A to D and from E to I. Now it asks the next argument, which is the row number. Now row number is same for all. I'll take this time manually as 2, and the column number. Now you have to understand that first of all you have to be clear in terms of which data set you want to use. So say for example in this we are using A to D. Now if you write 5 as a column number, it will give you an error because there is no fifth column. In case of a second data set, which is from E to I, you have 5 columns. So when you write column index as 5, it will give you the result as the category. So you make sure that when you're entering the column index in this instance or this kind of an argument, you should be clear on how many columns you have. So I'll take 4 because it's common across both. And the last one is from which data you want to extract this value. I'll say I want to extract it from second data set, which is E to I. Let's run. You see what is an error? And okay, I haven't added the parenthesis in the beginning, causing an error. Now I got row frames. Let's check. It says row number 2, column number 4 from the second data set. Row number 2 is this. Going back on the product data, this is a row number. We said column number from 4 from this E to I, which is this, and this row frames becomes the intersection, and that is what you get from here. Now the time I go and change this from column, this data set from 2 to 1, you got 868, because that is in which A to D you got 868.36342, and that is what you get in this instance as well. That's it for this session today. I'll continue with index match, Hlookup, and offset, these functions in my next session. Thank you so much.